Let's discuss a few topics in nervous system in this video. Right. The first one to be discussed is the divisions of nervous system. There are two types of divisions. One is anatomical, means like based on structures, the morphology is present, and then functional. First, let's see the anatomical division. Anatomically, we have two divisions. The one is central nervous system and the other is peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. You can clearly get from the word the central. Just for your information, for your reminding purpose, have this in mind. The center of the body, okay? The brain and the spinal cord. And the nerves emerging from them in and out, they come under peripheral nervous system. The cranial nerves, the spinal nerves, and the ganglions present, they all come under peripheral nervous system. Simple. Let's see their functions. Here are the functions of CNS and here are the functions of PNS. From now we will discuss as CNS as central nervous system, PNS as peripheral nervous system. Okay. What CNS does is whatever information enters our brain, it will integrate it, it will process all the information together, it will coordinate all information, right? For all these three things, what is needed is that we need some data. We need some data to integrate, we need some data to process, we need something to coordinate. So these data is taken and brought to the CNS by peripheral nervous system. And the data is called sensory data. Once they are processed, coordinated, the commands are passed on again to the peripheral nervous system and they are called as motor commands, right? The data enters, the PNS does two works. It gives the data and takes back the commands. Now, with this data, we are moving to functional classification. Functionally, we divide our nervous system as afferent division and efferent division. And this efferent division, furthermore, is classified as somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Right? Now, very easy. Just have your central nervous system, which are nothing but the brain and spinal cord, right? What I already said is we need some info, the sensory data it gets in, and motor commands gets out. Nerves which take sensory info to CNS is afferent, and the nerves which takes this info from CNS, which means the one who takes away these motor commands are efferents. And one thing is that in efferent, the motor commands are delivered to various parts of the body. So based on these parts, we are classifying them again as somatic and autonomic nervous system. Okay. When the information, the motor command is sent to the skeletal muscle, which is a voluntary control muscle, right? You can control your skeletal muscle, you can contract your biceps, you can contract your triceps, but you cannot contract your heart if you think, you cannot contract your stomach if you think, right? You cannot produce a particular gland's secretion if you think you want, right? So they are not voluntary. So those nerves which supply the involuntary organs like heart, smooth muscles, glands, they come under autonomic nervous system, right? So in skeletal muscle, the action is like contraction in skeletal muscle. In heart, smooth muscle, glands, there is activity regulation. What activity? Involuntary. They are not under our control. Involuntary activity regulation. All right. Now let's see the cellular organization of nervous system. There are two principal categories of nerves. The one is neurons, the most heard one, right? From our high school, we would have heard this word neurons, neurons. And the other one is neuroglia or glial cells. Neurons, the most important MCQ people would have attended in any competitive exam. It is a structural and functional unit of nervous system, right? Yes, this is one and four. Then neuroglial cells. We may think, We already have neurons which have structural and functional units. Why do we need neuroglia? They are supportive cells. What kind of support? They give structural as well as functional support. We will discuss both neurons and neuroglia in detail in the upcoming pages, right? At that time, we can discuss in detail about both of them. And another note or another info is that in CNS, neuroglia are more present than the neurons. Means like it is 5 times more than the neurons in CNS. Okay, neurons. What are the basic functions we knew about neurons? When you hear about neurons, we get one thing in mind. Something comes in, something goes out, right? They can receive stimuli. They will receive stimuli, right? That then finally they will transmit it outside, right? So what they are doing is they are conducting the impulse. They are conducting impulse. That's it. These are the basic functions of neurons. Okay? They receive info, they integrate, interpret, transmit. So by the way, they conduct nerve impulses. Okay? Now, I'm going to give a crisp intro or crisp outline to the structure of neuron. We will see about the fine structure of neuron in a separate video. I'm not going to discuss about fine structure, means I'm not going to discuss about Nusselt's granules, their composition and all that. Okay? Now, the important things needed for this video is first the cell body. This is the main part. First thing you have to remind about when you remind a neuron. They are also called as soma, perikaryon, nerve cell body, right? This nerve cell body gives rise to many short processes and one long processes. This many short processes are called as dendrite. One long process is called as axon. Okay, there will be only one axon and many dendrites. But there may arise a question. Will there be only one axon in every neurons? Yes, there will not be just only one axon. Major or mostly there will be one axon. But in some cases, there will be two axon terminals with a side branch which is called as axon collaterals. We will discuss further about axon collaterals in a separate topic. And for now, get to know about the axon may end in two terminals. It may have two terminals. Okay. And it may, that means it has axon collaterals. Next thing, nerve impulse conduction. Whenever there is a nerve impulse, the stimuli or the impulse, they will enter the dendrite, they will travel through the axon in this way. It is always in this way, the marked thing, okay, in this way, and never in this way. Next, we are going to classify neurons. Again, as like neural system, we are going to classify neurons also in anatomical and functional formats. Anatomical, structural, morphological, all are same. Don't get confused. Okay. Anatomical classification. There are two bases. The first one is polarity, and the second one is relative length of the axon. We classify neurons based on polarity as unipolar, bipolar, pseudo-unipolar, and multipolar neurons, right? First, let's see unipolar. In every type of neuron, there will be a cell body. Okay. In unipolar too, there is a cell body which is oval in shape, and at one end of the cell body, there will be one process arising from it. Okay. You can see it very clearly. Oval cell body at one end, that is a arise of one process. Okay. Now, in bipolar, the cell body itself, I think you couldn't appreciate it well in this diagram, but get to know that the cell body will be spindle shaped. Okay, it will be spindle shaped. On each end of the cell body, there will be separately two processes, right? One on this side, one on this side, right? They are bipolar. Now, here comes the pseudo unipolar. Now, tell me, when you are seeing this diagram, you could compare it more with unipolar or with bipolar. Do comment it down. I felt it more like bipolar when I saw that first because the only difference here is In bipolar, you get two processes from two different end of the cell body. But here you're getting these two processes from one end of the cell body. What happens is one process arises from one end of the cell body. It travels at a place called T junction, which we have named it like that. Okay, at T junction it bifurcates into two parts, but they are not bipolar. Okay, they are single process, but they are bifurcating, right? Only thing you have to remind in mind is why we have named it as pseudo unipolar means it arises from one end of the cell body. The point where it arises is very important. That's how we have classified these two, right? Now in multipolar, there is a more short processes and then a long process. As we have already seen in neuron structure, that there will be dendrites called short processes on one end, there will be one long process. We can clearly say that most of the neurons in the body, or especially that of CNS, are multipolar. Whenever we are discussing a structure of a cell, of a part, we take the majorly present type of cell. Okay, we cannot say that individually every we have million of cells in a particular part we have lakhs of cells. We cannot say that every cell will have exactly the same symmetry, same geometry. We take the majority of cells, the symmetry, the geometry, the structure, right? Here the typical neuron we are always describing in diagrams or multipolar. They have dendrites arising from the cell body. On one end, they have axon arising from them. Right? Now let's see which organs have which type of neurons. Surprisingly, every type of neuron are present in our body. Unipolar, mesencephalic nucleus of trigeminal nerve. Just remind trigeminal nerve. We will discuss about mesencephalic nucleus, and there are a lot more in different nerves. We will discuss about them in later sections. Okay. And in bipolar, the most easiest thing I remind every time is retina. Comment out which one you like the most or you remind the most after reading. Olfactory epithelium, retina, sensory ganglia of cochlear and vestibular nerves, right? Pseudo unipolar, the most heard one is dorsal root ganglia of spinal nerves and also remind sensory ganglia of some cranial nerves. Next basis is relative length of axons and dendrites. We divide them based on this basis as Golgi type 1 neurons and Golgi type 2 neurons. Only difference, major differences, the axon of type 1 is long, the axon of type 2 is short. Okay, immediate point that has to come in your mind is the length, right? Relative length. We are comparing it relative. We have a comparison here. This is long, their axons are short. Long in the sense like 1 meter long. Short means a comparative thing is dendrites. They almost look like dendrites. They are similar to the length of dendrites. And then long and they are axons which form the long fiber tracks when they are two nerve fiber bundles. The one which connect both of them are tracked, right? These Golgi type 1 neurons forms the long fiber tracks. Okay. And here, since they are short axons, mostly they appear as mostly, not in every case. Okay, they appear like star. They are star-shaped appearance. And then let's see the examples. Yes, for Golgi type 1, the examples, important examples are pyramidal cells of cerebral cortex, Purkinje cells of cerebellum. You could appreciate the axon here, I think so, and here also, right? The Purkinje cells of cerebellum and pyramidal cells of cerebral cortex. And here I already said that the axons are short, that they are similar to dendrites, right? Can you appreciate? They almost appear like dendrites. They are very short, right? Yes. And they are found large number or in cerebral cortex, cerebellar cortex, and in retina. Three parts. Okay. So for now, we have seen about the types of nervous system and the anatomical type of the nerves. Furthermore, the types of neurons and the neuroglial cells are there. we will discuss about in the next video along with the topic synapse. Do subscribe and like the video if you like. Thank you.